Good day and welcome to How the Root Causes of Chronic Conditions Have a Major Impact on Employers. All lines are currently in a listen-only mode. Later you will have the opportunity to ask questions during the question and answer session. And please note today's call is being recorded. It is now my pleasure to turn the conference over to Heidi Zwart, Coach and Member Experience Manager. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for joining us today. We're really glad to be here, and we're even more glad that you're here. I'm Heidi, as Tasha mentioned, and I'm the Coach and Member Experience Manager for Zillion. Welcome to the webinar. Let's start by asking you a question. Why are you here? What prompted you to join us? Chances are you're here because you care both about your company and your employees. You really want to help your company manage its resources well and help your employees get healthier. Maybe you've been burned by other well-being initiatives in the past, or you just haven't seen the return on your investment. Or maybe you're just plain confused. Maybe you've been hearing a lot of buzzwords around like wellness or chronic condition management, and you really just don't know what the difference is. And we totally get that. It's really confusing. So we're here to help clear the air a bit and to understand that we believe there's really one primary cause for most of the health issues you're seeing with your employees, and they're costing you a bundle, maybe far more than you even realize. So let's dive in so we can help you do what's best for your company and your employees. Here's a look at what we'll be covering today. By the end of the presentation, you should have more clarity around the primary thing that may be impacting your employees' health and how to address it for long-term cost savings. We'll cover the truth behind your healthcare costs. By getting to this root cause, you save money both short and long-term. Then we'll learn why other well-being solutions often fail. By managing or medicating symptoms, we apply a short-term solution on a long-term problem. And that long-term problem has a name. It's called insulin resistance. And that might sound a little bit unfamiliar, but we're going to help you understand that a bit better. It's the root system driving the need to manage and medicate chronic conditions. We'll help you understand what this means and how much it's really costing your company. In short, insulin resistance is costing you a bundle. And by addressing it through lifestyle changes, we'll actually save you a bundle. We've created a solution that takes a tangled mess of things like hypertension, high cholesterol, high blood sugar, and obesity, just to name a few, and it tackles them head-on before they lead to bigger health issues and cost both you and your employee so much more. Your people will be healthier, happier, and more productive when you stop managing and medicating their health and offer them a proactive solution that works for both of you. So ready? Let's begin. I'd like to introduce you to Kristen Simon, who's one of our health coaches for Zillion's Restore program.
Thanks, Heidi. So if I were to ask you to think about the top healthcare cost drivers, you could probably name a few off the top of your head. But what you may not know is that those cost drivers, those symptoms or chronic conditions, if you will, are connected. And most wellness programs only target these symptoms. They fail to connect them. They fail to see the forest, that is, the root cause. We believe that the root cause of most chronic health conditions is insulin resistance. Now, you might hear insulin resistance and think of diabetes, but it goes beyond that. Let's take a look. When we look at what most employers report as their most expensive health condition, across the board, they say that conditions like diabetes, heart disease, or hypertension, which is high blood pressure, are a burden to health plans, that they are impacting or causing rising health plan costs. These conditions are all classified as chronic diseases. Now, a chronic disease is not something that you can catch, like strep throat. It is a persistent, ongoing condition. They generally cannot be cured by vaccines or medication. So take a moment to think about that. What is the treatment prescribed for high cholesterol or for diabetes? That treatment might make the symptoms lessen, and it might result in lower cholesterol or blood pressure, but it's not curing anything. A patient will require more medication over time to continue managing their condition. And why does that matter? Well, when we take a look at the breakdown, we can see that our largest percentage of cost comes from this middle group, that can be classified as having one or more of those chronic conditions. The 29% of the population that is responsible for 62% of healthcare costs. These folks start out in the blue portion, but as one unhealthy habit leads to another, like skipping a workout, stopping for fast food, sacrificing sleep to catch up on work, they can move into the orange group. They start to require treatment and medications and frequent doctor's visits to manage their conditions. And as time goes on, their medical costs rise as they need more medications and more regular doctor's visits. And eventually, some of those folks in the orange group can move up into the teal group. They have a heart attack or a stroke or a limb amputation. They experience something acute, something very severe, and something very costly. By definition, a chronic condition is ongoing, and it accrues more and more cost over time as it requires more and more treatment or medication or monitoring. Compare that to an acute condition, a one-time event that may be more costly up front, and you can see how year over year chronic conditions are negatively impacting health plan costs and are worth addressing. And many employers may know that information and take that information and say, okay, because employees with chronic conditions like diabetes are responsible for our rising healthcare costs, the solution is to add a program that targets that disease, to add a diabetes management program that monitors blood glucose, or to add a weight management program or another disease management program. And that's the issue right there. It's in the name. These programs manage these conditions. They don't improve them or reverse them or really even treat them. To begin to understand how to treat them, it's important to understand what causes them. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention and the World Health Organization, two leading health information agencies, lifestyle factors such as exercise habits, dietary choices, and alcohol or tobacco use are largely responsible for the onset and perpetuation of these chronic diseases, diseases like diabetes, high cholesterol, heart disease. While a person's genetics or environmental factors, such as access to quality health care, can play a role, the largest contributing factor is an individual's lifestyle. That is to say, these conditions can be manageable and even reversible through behavior change. So it wouldn't be crazy to hear that and then say, okay, so let's address these behavioral causes by adding an exercise program or giving everyone discounted gym memberships or free Fitbits. And we'll throw a Weight Watchers program in there too to help with nutrition. And sure, we can run a Biggest Loser competition and that'll target obesity. And many employers take this approach, piecemealing together individual programs with hopes of addressing all of these factors. But like we said at the beginning, those symptoms or chronic conditions that can be caused by these poor lifestyle choices are connected. These lifestyle factors, the poor diet and lack of exercise that we talked about, can cause insulin resistance, which we believe is the root cause of most chronic health conditions. And what is insulin resistance? Well, to start, insulin is a hormone that allows your body to use and store glucose. Glucose, a simple sugar, provides energy for cell functions. After food is digested, glucose is released into the bloodstream. In response, the pancreas secretes insulin, which directs the muscle and fat cells to take in glucose. Cells obtain energy from glucose or convert it to fat for long-term storage. It's responsible for ensuring that your blood sugar does not get too high or too low and that your body has a steady and regulated stream of energy. Insulin resistance, then, is when cells in your muscles, body fat, and liver start ignoring the signal that insulin is trying to send out, requiring more and more insulin production. Basically, your body can't properly respond to the insulin that it's producing, and this can have a myriad of effects. As it progresses, insulin resistance can lead to increased glucose production, increased LDL, which is our bad cholesterol, and decreased HDL, which is our good cholesterol, a loss of appetite suppression mechanisms, and weight gain. That's right. You may have heard or you may believe that weight gain and obesity are to blame. But the reality is that's just not true. Insulin resistance causes weight gain. We just talked about how the release of insulin directs the cells to take in glucose and convert it to fat for long-term storage. With insulin resistance, the body is producing more and more insulin, sending the message to store glucose away as fat over and over. Insulin resistance stimulates the formation of new fatty tissue and accelerates weight gain. And insulin resistance makes you feel tired and hungry, which perpetuates the weight gain. That's why diets and programs that simply try to address the weight gain fail. Even if short-term weight loss occurs, it will not be sustainable. Losing weight won't eliminate insulin resistance, and so the weight will come back and no real health outcome will be changed. And all of these effects of insulin resistance can ultimately lead to metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is a group of concurrent symptoms that increase your risk of heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. These symptoms include increased blood pressure, high blood sugar, excess body fat around the waist, and abnormal cholesterol or triglyceride levels. All of the things we've been talking about today. Essentially, this is the forest we need to start seeing. The trees, those are the chronic conditions we discussed, and those conditions are caused by elevated blood pressure or high blood sugar or excess body fat. All of these components come together to make metabolic syndrome, and that is where we should be focusing our efforts. While a diabetes management program or a weight management program or an exercise program or any other specific program may see success here and there, they are not addressing the whole issue. They may work in the short term, but they will never be successful in a sustainable way. They're just managing symptoms with no regard for the cause. They're just one piece of the puzzle. They're just the trees. The reality is that the best approach, both for the individual employee and for the organization, is more holistic. That's why we focus on the big picture, on metabolic syndrome. When we focus on that, you end up with less vendors and less contracts, and you stop paying for programs that don't work. And the employee ends up with improved health as they stop just monitoring their conditions and start working at making real changes. So now to talk a little bit more about what we do and what we focus on at Restore Health, I'm going to turn it back over to Heidi.
Great. Thanks, Christian. So hopefully at this point you understand a bit better that focusing on just those individual symptoms and trying to find solutions for them is ultimately a losing battle. It's really easy to just see those trees and miss the forest, and it's totally okay. You're not alone. And our purpose here today, as I mentioned, is to show you that there is actually a better way to care for your employees. You just have to think a little bit differently, and that helps them improve their health and help you invest your money in the right people at the right time. We developed Restore to help you identify the right people. We target your most at-risk group. Those are those middle people, those that already have symptoms of metabolic syndrome like prediabetes, high blood pressure, dyslipidemia, and obesity. Once we know who they are, then we help them to develop new lifestyle habits. We do this by nudging members to make small but impactful changes. Remember how many of the issues we just mentioned are reversed or prevented through lifestyle modifications. Heart disease and diabetes in particular are almost 100% reversible through lifestyle changes. So with small tweaks to a member's lifestyle, we help them practice new decision-making that leads to big impact. We get to the root of the issue. To do this, we pair our technology, digital technology, with a personal coach. While we are a technology company, we wouldn't be nearly as effective without real people helping guide the process. A coach gets real-time data because of our technology and then is able to respond effectively because of it. It keeps the interaction in the program highly personalized to what matters most to a member in a given moment. It's flexible, adaptable, and customized. We believe that there are actually 4 intertwined pieces that impact our health: nutrition, exercise, stress, and sleep. These are the trees that are most often targeted by other traditional wellness initiatives, But as we're learning, they're hard to separate because one is almost always impacting the others. The roots are interwoven in ways we just simply can't see. By weaving each of the four into a program that recognizes the interconnectedness, we see better results. Our approach in each of these pillars is guided by what we know scientifically has the biggest impact on the reversal of insulin resistance. So in our nutrition pillar, this means moderating carbs, not eliminating them, but rather just minimizing how often they appear in our daily diet, specifically those that are known to be the biggest contributor to insulin resistance. These include a lot of processed foods like bread, pasta, and most foods that you'll find in a box or a bag. Protein provides the building blocks for developing leaner muscles and boosting energy levels. Healthy fats like avocados, nuts, and seeds are included in moderation as well. Our exercise approach is really distinct to us. It's different than most other programs out there in that we don't just count steps. While we do provide participants with a Fitbit, we actually use it for tracking their sleep, not their steps. We know that high-intensity interval training, also known as HIIT, is far more successful at combating insulin resistance. We've decided to call this relative high-intensity interval training since we know not everyone's ready for a CrossFit program, nor necessarily wants to be. And what's considered high intensity varies from person to person. We make it easy for all fitness levels to access this training by building in short bursts of activity ranging from 30 seconds to 7 minutes. We can increase this for those who are ready for it as they progress. This kind of movement matters. It's far more effective at burning fat and improving insulin resistance if instead of tracking steps alone. Stress is it's another overlooked part of our physical and our mental health. We help our members understand their thought patterns and rewrite them so that they're able to navigate their lives a bit better. We monitor their stress through regular activities, and we dedicate an entire section of our app just to relaxation. Sleep is probably tied with stress for being the most overlooked aspect of overall well-being. As we help our members improve the duration of their sleep and the quality of their sleep, we often see people break through the plateaus they've experienced in the past. Simply eating well and moving more isn't enough. By moving someone closer to 7 hours of sleep per night, their body burns fat 55% more effectively. That's really astounding, and it explains why addressing nutrition and exercise alone often fails. Each of these pillars is a tree that wellness programs often address separately, but weight loss programs that count calories or track points isn't enough. Giving an employee a Fitbit to track steps, it's not enough. Offering yoga classes or meditation, that alone also isn't enough. They have to be addressed holistically to have a legitimate impact on insulin resistance and on your employees' well-being. When we start to see these separate trees as part of a larger forest, we see better results. So let's take a look at what happens when we do start addressing the forest instead of the trees. In just 4 months, over 80% of our members on the program achieve clinical success. So this means that they've reversed one or more of the metabolic syndrome factors that put them in the at-risk category. Those are your middle people. Notice how the improvements go far beyond weight loss. When we address the whole body, yep, they lose weight, but it's because they made lifestyle changes, and weight loss was simply the byproduct. Their blood pressure is reduced when they learn to manage their stress better and they sleep better. Their cholesterol and triglycerides improve as they move more often and eat more whole foods. And with these improved nutritional choices, their A1C decreases in astounding ways. All this leads to tremendous healthcare cost savings, $2,700 per participant per year. That's a 3 times return on investment in the first year in the program. These numbers are great, but really what's more significant is that these results represent real people whose lives are significantly changed. People are what matter, your people, and they're people like Lisa. In just 4 months, Lisa lost 48 pounds, she reduced her BMI by 8 points, normalized her triglycerides, and lost 7.5 inches off her waist. These kind of results are not unusual with our members, and they're the kind of results that give me goosebumps. When I first started as a coach with Restore and saw my first members' biometric results come back, I literally cheered with my hands up in the air. I was just completely blown away by how quickly someone's health improved with such small changes. The numbers were just the proof. And Lisa's transformation didn't stop at 4 months. During her year with us, she successfully lost 115 pounds and she fully reversed several metabolic factors. More importantly, her life changed and her family's life changed too. Listen to the very best part of her story. This is what she shared with us. At the start of the program, one of the things you have to do is make a list of all the things I wanted to accomplish on this program. The simplest one was going down on a slide with my kids, and my butt now fits on that slide. My kids are 3 and 5, and they're active. And when you don't physically fit on things, I just had to stand and watch. I felt like I was just watching the world move around me, but now I feel I can do anything. So you see the ripple effect. Lisa's impacting not only her own health, but the health of her kids' health as well. And that's pretty awesome. Here's the bottom line. Most well-being programs miss the mark, addressing the symptoms or the trees instead of the root cause. And if you're not sure still what trees you may be offering in your company, consider these 2 questions. Number 1, what are you trying to manage? And number 2, what are you trying to medicate? Management might include things like diabetes or weight control or just general inactivity. Medication might include blood pressure, high blood sugar, or cholesterol. So now that you know that all of these issues can be addressed at its source, you can stop shelling out money to manage and medicate. You can invest in a single solution that addresses the root cause, and again, that's insulin resistance, and offer your employees a way to address unhealthy lifestyle choices so they can change them before it costs both of you even more money. And the most costly people are in the middle. They're the ones who are currently requiring ongoing, year after year management and medication. They're the 30% who are costing you 70% of your total healthcare costs each year. And when you help these employees through sustainable lifestyle changes, the impact on your bottom line is tremendous, upwards of $2,700 per year going forward per participant. These changes to lifestyle behaviors are key though, and we just simply call them new habits. When people change what they eat, how they move, how they sleep, and how they handle stress, their life changes for the better. They have more energy, they're more productive and alert, they work harder, and they just simply feel better, both physically and emotionally. When they're coached to do this in a way that fits into their life, they're even more successful. The new habits stick when they're introduced really slowly and intentionally. With a coach nudging them forward, they're just more likely to make permanent changes, not just temporary ones. You stop managing and medicating. You stop stacking one program on top of another that never impacts your bottom line. You stop offering general well-being programs to your employees that are truly a dime a dozen and confusing to sift through. What you start doing is creating happier, healthier employees who will save you money year after year through their increased productivity and healthcare savings. It's a win for you, and it's a win for them. Thanks so much for joining us today. We hope you've begun to see the forest through the trees and understand why it matters to both you and your employees. We'd love to answer any questions that you have, and I've invited Joe Marullo from our Operations and Analytics team to join Kristen and me to field your questions. So feel free to throw anything at us, anything else that you'd like to know.
Thank you, Heidi. I appreciate the intro. Couple of questions coming through right now. Okay, this might not have been the first one. I apologize. I'll get to these. It says, let me paraphrase. I have a problem with my type 2 diabetic growth rate. Are you saying that this particular program would help me solve that problem?
Yeah, I'll take that one, Joe. So yes, absolutely. Type 2 diabetes is defined as an A1C over 6.5, And we allow anybody with an A1C over 5.7, which is actually the definition of prediabetes, to join. And our program can have a big impact, like we said, as we continue to attack the root cause of this condition. We don't just focus on the monitoring day-to-day glucose levels or medication adherence in order to just try to, avoid negative events that might be associated with type 2 diabetes. We focus on what's causing the A1C to spike and then work to bring it down. So, like we said, we believe that if you can adjust your lifestyle with respect to nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress, you can bring down your A1C from that type 2 diabetic to pre-diabetic or even normal levels.
Okay,
that answered that.
Great. No, I think so. If it didn't, please let me know. But I think that did, Kristen. Couple more here. You guys are going to love this. We had a bet about this question. Could you guys please explain further the statements you made earlier that insulin resistance causes obesity? Isn't it the other way around?
Yeah, I'll take that one too. So that's a really good question. Like we said, obesity is actually a symptom of insulin resistance, and it's not the other way around. And I know, like Joe said, that's not what you're used to hearing. That kind of can surprise people or confuse people. But so when we look at who has insulin resistance, about 80% of obese people have insulin resistance, but close to 40% of non-obese people also have insulin resistance. So as a benefits manager, this means that if you're just targeting weight, which again is the tree, that's not the forest, you're missing like half of the people who are unhealthy and who are negatively impacting your claims. So even if you don't quite buy it or you don't understand that insulin resistance causes obesity, you're still missing those non-obese employees that are causing the cost of your claims to go up. So yeah, many employers or even programs out there might want to chase weight, but if they do that, then they're missing one of the underlying causes of weight gain, and they'll just be treating the symptom. Like we said, losing weight won't make the insulin resistance go away. You're just treating the symptom of the real problem.
Yeah, Kristen, I'll just add one more piece there. I think the really interesting thing about metabolic syndrome is that you can't see it. I've been on site at our health screenings, and you'd be really surprised at how many people you think are healthy just based on their physical appearance, but their blood work tells an entirely different story. I saw the same thing over and over again when I worked at a health club, where we did similar screenings, and seemingly fit people were surprisingly sick. It's amazing. You just can't judge by how somebody looks, how sick they might actually be, and how many symptoms they may be carrying of insulin resistance. So just to reiterate, you can't see it. Metabolic syndrome, you can't see insulin resistance. It's really sneaky.
Okay, great. Again, as we said on the first one, if that didn't answer the question, please let us know. But thank you both very much for that. And then I got another one here talking about, you mentioned ROI of 3x. Can you extrapolate on that a little bit further? 2,700 divided by 3 is about 900. Is that your price?
Yeah, I can take this. That's a great question, Joe. Our primary program option is 80% at risk. Effectively, that ranges from anywhere between about $700 and $800 per participant, and it's really based on their level of engagement and outcomes. This is what I think really makes us unique. We are not priced per employee per month because, we really believe that our clients should see value on their investment. We put ourselves at risk. We take on the risk. And if we don't succeed in reversing or improving metabolic syndrome, the price reflects that. We realize this won't work for absolutely everyone, and there are reasons why that happens, but we don't believe we should charge you if we can't help someone. The return on investment number, it's based on a business case with one of our largest clients, combined with a study that was done in 2010 assessing the overall costs of metabolic syndrome. So hopefully that helps you understand a little bit better. I think the key there is to understand that we are at risk, which is part of what makes us unique and really sets us apart.
Okay, great. Thank you for jumping on that one, Heidi. So Heidi and Kristen, those are the only questions I see right now. So if there's any others out there, please let us know. But that appears to conclude at least that particular portion of the discussion. Are there any others out there?
I'm not seeing any other questions.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, I think that would conclude the webinar for today. Again, I think we want to thank you all for joining us this morning or this afternoon or wherever you are in the world today. This was a wonderful opportunity to chat with you all. And Heidi and Kristen, thank you so much for walking us through this. It was very, very helpful.